Ladies and gentlemen, this is TVP World. You're watching another edition of Break the Fake, where we debunk fake news and combat false narratives. I'm your host, Benjamin Lee, and let's get rolling. So, in Russia's war against Ukraine, one pattern stands out. The higher someone sits in the military hierarchy, the further the family seems to drift from any consequences. General Alexander Tokarev took direct part in the invasion and is listed in Ukraine's Book of Executioners. Yet, even with that record attached to his name, the people closest to him move through Europe with a level of ease that deserves a closer look. Tokarev's 22-year-old daughter Anastasia travels through hostile NATO countries with the confidence of someone who has never heard a single line of Kremlin rhetoric. A graduate of the Ministry of Defense boarding school for girls, she says she obtained her European visa without any problems and spends up to 1 million rubles on vacation. No delays, no complications, just a smooth glide into the very countries her father denounces.
I'm in Italia! Ah! Buongiorno! Si, si, si!
So, here's the full backstory. This girl's dad is General Alexander Tokarev, a man who not only serves in the Russian army, but took direct part in the Russian open invasion of Ukraine. His name is included in the Ukrainian Book of Executioners, the list of war criminals involved in torture, murder, and crimes against civilians. While he warns soldiers about the insidious West, his daughter posts from Prague and Rome, stacks passport stamps, and shows how quickly the hostility fades when a Tokarev arrives with money, probably issued by that same generalship. Now, she even mentions that her vacation can cost up to $150,000. Nothing in her life reflects the world her dad orders others to fight in. Which brings us to the real question. How does the daughter of a war criminal secure visas without any obstacles? Maybe the consulates are not checking, maybe the system is not designed to flag people connected to specific cases, but whatever the reason, the outcome is hard to ignore. Russia's elites speak about the West as a threat, yet their own families move there without hesitation. Anastasia Tokarev fits that pattern exactly. For this elite, the West is not an enemy, it is the destination they choose for their children. They send others to fight for the Russian world, while their own families choose places that are safe, orderly, and equipped with reliable Wi-Fi. And the fact that someone still stamped her passport shows that the door did not open by accident. It opened because someone didn't bother to keep it closed. See, academic events are supposed to be straightforward. You register, you show up, you discuss your field. But what Nord University did not expect during the preparations for the Arctic 2050 event was a Russian propagandist attending under a different name. He wasn't there because Arctic policies suddenly become fascinating. He was there because in his line of work, a new name is cheaper and faster than earning an actual invitation. So according to Norwegian state broadcaster NRK, that man was Artem Kuryev. He appeared just as Russia was preparing to take over the Arctic Council chairmanship, a moment when the Kremlin was trying very hard to look calm and cooperative, at least on the brochure. The investigation showed that Russia targets academic spaces because trust is high and verifications is sometimes just a polite nod. If someone sounds official enough, they get in. And Moscow, well, they have no reason to fix a tactic that works this well. NRK journalists also report that Kuryev spent more than 10 years working for Russian special services. During that time, he organized trips for foreign journalists to the temporarily occupied territories of Ukraine, built pro-Russian networks across Europe, and created expert platforms that reliably echoed the Kremlin's line. Sanctions against him and his African Initiative project came only after these activities were collected in one place. Nothing about his work really changed, people just finally stopped taking his resume at face value. See, this case shows what has been clear for years. Russian propaganda abroad operates hand in hand with Russian intelligence. The Kremlin looks for weak spots anywhere it can find them, from conferences to policy forums. When researchers gather to discuss Arctic cooperation or climate issues, Russia steps in with talks of peaceful intentions, even as its military presence in the region tells a different story. The message is friendly, the ships, not so much. The Kremlin's operations abroad are not journalism and not science. They are intelligence work placed in settings where scrutiny is low and trust is high. Every new Tokarev with a slightly revised biography shows how Russia aims to influence discussions without entering them honestly. And unless institutions stop treating introduction as proof, Moscow will keep testing how far a confident smile and a fresh name badge can get them. So Russian propaganda is once again showing its idea of peace, the kind of peace you need if you plan to clear land for future concentration camps. This time, Armen Gasparyan, a regular on Solev's show, decided to outdo his own boss in the category of who can demand genocide with the most enthusiasm. So on air, he called for ethnic cleansing, saying it openly, quote, wipe out everything on the left bank and, quote, just clear the territory. When Kremlin propagandists speak this freely, they're not improvising, they're signaling.
Но суть по всему это и происходит, просто выкашивание всего, что есть на левом берегу. Дальше толпа понесется по Украине, и гораздо проще проводить зачистку территории от оставшегося там отребья. Ну да, это очень цинично, но это прагматичный ход. А почему мы должны заботиться об этом населении? Вот я единственное не понимаю вот эту вот тональность. Ну то есть они голосовали за власть. Власть их всю дорогу устраивала. А заботиться о них должна не та власть, которую они поддерживали, а должен заботиться Путин. С какого перепуга? Путин должен заботиться о русских людях. Путин не должен заботиться о Рагулье. Правда? Вот о русских людях Путин заботится. А носящих на голове кастрюлю нет. Не будет ничего страшного, если какая-нибудь краля Галя сдохнет в коликах. В Чернигове. Потому что в анамнезе у крали Гали будет 3 Майдана. Пирожки и чай туда носимый. Ну, она это сполна заслужила.
And this apparently is what Russia's readiness for peace talks look like. The formula is simple. We really want peace, but no, genocide is step one. In the Kremlin's diplomatic dictionary, peace means when everyone accepts our domination, and negotiation means when we announce the terms. Gasparyan did not invent anything new, by the way. He repeated what Russia has been doing since 2014. Deportations, filtration camps, mass killings, destruction of cities along with their residents, forced passportization, abduction of children. And if this is what propagandists allow themselves to say on air, you do not need imagination to understand what is being ordered off camera. Russia is not just waging war against territories, it is waging war against Ukrainians as a people. And no peace agreements, negotiations, or ceasefire change that underlying goal. We do not need analysts to spell it out. Russian propagandists say it themselves on live television. If they speak so casually about ethnic cleansing in public, it raises a clear question about what they might try to secure in any pause labeled negotiations. The risk is obvious enough without guessing the details, so the rule stays the same. Russian calls for peace are only credible when they stop shooting, and they haven't stopped yet. And with that, we conclude this edition of Break the Fake. But for more news, update, and commentary, please stay tuned to TVP World.